It's been almost 50 years since one of the most remarkable achievements in World Series history happened right about at the lip of the infield, going into the outfield. That would be home plate. This is the former site of Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, the cathedral of baseball. No, not the building that's across the street, which looks like a slab of concrete. I digress, but when it comes to what took place here on October 18th, 1977, me as an 8-year-old boy stewing, knowing that my lowly Mets, especially at the beginning of what would be just a dark age for the organization that I root for, here, where none other than Reginald Martinez Jackson, most famously known as Reggie Jackson, did something that nobody could ever comprehend. That on 3 straight pitches, or for 3 different pitchers, hit home runs in a clinching game of Game 6 of 1977 in the World Series. And you have to think, speaking of dark ages, the Yankees kind of went through that themselves. From 1962, when they last won against the San Francisco Giants, up until, we'll say 1976, because they did make it to the World Series that year. And not only that, but also in a thrilling playoff victory in 1976, Game 5 of the League Championship Series between the Yankees and Royals, where Chris Chambliss hit the home run there in the bottom of the 9th for the Yankees to go on to their first World Series in forever, or at least for the Yankees it seems that way. And with Chambliss circling the bases and him getting mobbed by fans who just stormed the field to the point where Chris Chambliss didn't even touch home plate. That's right. He went right to the dugout. So even though the Yankees won 7-6, but that final run was never really registered. And I understand it was just a chaotic scene. It was one that we will never ever see, especially when it comes to a team clinching or a World Series victory in a regard where fans are going to storm the field. That was a lifetime ago. And even though they went to the World Series that year and they got beat up by the Big Red Machine, smacked around 4 straight, where the Yankees, with their tails between their legs, didn't think that they would probably get back there the following year. Not until Reggie Jackson came into the picture in 1977, which leads to the events of what happened right over there, where the Bronx was burning, where Howard Cosell once famously said, how in the middle of the South Bronx, not too far away, where buildings were just being burned down because the landlords didn't have to deal with having to keep up with those buildings and just figured I'm just going to take the insurance and that's it. And even with smoke billowing and flames coming out of different directions in certain tenement buildings in the South Bronx, it was Yankee Stadium, the spotlight, and really was the igniter of a renaissance here in the Bronx, where Reggie Jackson, in his first at-bat, hit a shot into the right field seats, where off of Bert Hooton, hit his first home run, and the Yankees were off and rolling. And then in his next at-bat, off of Elias Sosa, hit a line drive shot, again to right field, where on 2 pitches, 2 home runs. And as he got into the dugout, of course, what did he say? Hey, Mama, too. So therefore, it was only fitting that Reggie would bat one more time, this time against the knuckleballer Charlie Huff. And what did he do? He deposited that ball into the black. An absolute bomb, a moonshot by Reggie Jackson, who is known to hit long home runs and actually towering home runs. And that one sealed the deal for the Yankees to win Game 6, and in essence, the World Championship. And we know after that, they went back-to-back in 78, and then a few years later, they did go back to the World Series before losing to the Dodgers. But there was nothing like that night, and we haven't seen a feat like that since. Yes, I get it that Albert Pujols hit 3 home runs in Texas against the Rangers in the 2011 World Series. But that was what, a Game 2, I believe? It was early on in the series, so therefore it didn't really have the dramatic outcome that it did here on this field 48 years ago. Or even in 2012, the following year, when Pedro Sandoval hit 3 home runs off the Detroit Tigers in Game 1 of the World Series. And again, remarkable achievement, but still not in a clinching game, not on home turf, and not 14 years between World Series victories, the way the Yankees were able to celebrate that night. And here I am, a Met fan, talking about this. But you know what? It was one that I know as a boy, watching, as my mom let me stay up to watch, being the big baseball fan that I am, and seeing Reggie Jackson with a "Hey Mama" too, and rubbing the back of Chris Chambliss' head, knowing that he has cemented his place not only in Yankee history, but World Series history. Of course, with the famous name, otherwise known as Mr. October. And he had done this with the Oakland A's earlier in the decade. But now, when you do it in the pinstripes, in a Yankee uniform, where your name will be etched in memory forever, for those who watched and experienced it, or even for those who weren't even around or born to even witness it, it'll still always be remembered. Number 44, Reggie Jackson, hitting those 3 home runs over 3 different pitchers in a clincher for the Yankees to raise another banner in their illustrious history.